Welcome to episode 10 of the Grit Code Podcast, a place where we decode the steps to success on and off the field. And I'm Donte Whitner, 11-year NFL vet, three-time Pro Bowler, alongside number 378, NFL Hall of Famer Patrick Willis. And with us is Rob Brooks, radio and TV analyst in the Bay Area. Guys, the theme for this week is grit under pressure, greatness built through adversity. And boy, is the 49ers constantly fighting through adversity. They won a big game versus the New York Giants, but in so, they lost their starting first-round defensive end, Mykel Williams. Pat, when is enough enough?
Oh man, Dante, that's a great question. I mean, that team from the jump has been riddled with injuries, and for them to take this blow from Michael, man, it's I don't know. I don't know. It's just tough. I'm still puzzled myself. I'm trying to figure out, like, man, since when have I ever seen something of this such? I mean, there's two guys on the same team now with two ACLs. And I don't know, man. That's a good question. I'm going to give it back to you guys. I mean, when is enough enough? I mean, they've continued to play well. They've continued to play solid, which is a credit to the coaches and the players themselves. But man, I mean, it's only the season is only going to continue to get tougher and tougher and tougher. And so I don't know. I think it's when is enough?
It's obviously frustrating because if you're a Niner observer, a Niner fan, you can't feel good about the wins because there's always a loss attached to it due to injury. I don't know when enough is enough, but I sure don't get a sense that the players are asking that question or feeling down about the situation. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to see your brother get injured, and clearly the impact of not having Bosa, not having Mykel Williams, not having Fred Warner, the impact it has on that defense. But I get a sense that not that the Niners are used to it, but they are a talented enough team on both sides of the ball, especially on offense, the healthier side of the ball. They're a talented enough team and they're a tough enough team mentally to where they're like, okay, this is just the way it is. What are we going to do about it? And I do think they have enough, particularly on offense, to when they finally do figure things out defensively, dealing with all the injuries. I think offensively, they are good enough to be competitive, to stay in games and win games and take some of the pressure off that defense.
This is really so frustrating because if you think about all the guys that the 49ers lost, if they had those guys from the beginning of the season healthy in entirety, the 49ers would literally be Super Bowl favorites. Right? Right now, they're still winning. They're still trying to figure it out on defense with a bunch of young guys. And quite frankly, they're still figuring it out on offense. But if you put Fred Warner, Bosa, Brandon Ayuk, Ricky Pearsall, all the types of players that they have along with this coaching staff and Robert Saleh, the 49ers would be Super Bowl favorites. I don't think they have enough. When you think back to last week versus the New York Giants, that's a team that's really trying to find their way.
Mm-hmm.
Who they have coming to town is the Los Angeles Rams, and they have championship aspirations.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
pissed off about that first loss. And when you think about those skill position players that they have, the ability to protect Matthew Stafford, and we've seen the special things he can do with the football, I'm worried about this game. I'm worried because there are telltale signs with what the 49ers are doing at safety that's going to give Matthew Stafford keys to exactly what coverages they're playing. And he could possibly have one of those historic nights if they don't get home. So I'm a little worried about leading into this game this week, but it's always good to worry about these things after a win.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, like you said, Dante, I mean, they got a divisional game coming in. And I don't know. You're right. The Rams going to be pissed off from this first game they played. And I feel like they're going to come out and with more intensity, and which is going to be interesting for this team because, yeah, they went to New York last week on the road, played good complimentary football across the board. But, yeah, it's going to be a divisional game, and these guys are going to come in ready, and this is going to be a great test once again for this ball club.
Well, let me throw this to both of you guys, and it starts with what they have coming up on Sunday against the Rams. And I think, to me, this is something they have to do going forward. Dante, you're 100% correct about the defense, and particularly the back end. With the Niners not being able to get pressure with four guys, we saw in Houston a couple of weeks ago, they couldn't even get pressure with the blitz. That puts a lot of stress on that young secondary. Do you think the Niners have enough offensively to where they can play ball control? They can offensively just keep the ball enough to keep opposing offenses, starting with the Rams, off the field. And I asked that question because they did that a few weeks ago when they played the Rams and beat them. They were basically 2-1 in time of possession. They had scoring drives. There was a 17-play drive. There was 2 or 3 12-play drives. They had a couple of 8-play drives. I think with what they have offensively and what they're eventually going to get back with Pearsall, I think they do have enough to where they can keep opposing offenses off the field enough to hopefully protect and shield that defense, particularly the back end of it.
Absolutely. I think it's not just ball control. I think it's aggressive ball control
Okay.
where you're willing to go for it on fourth down, even in your own territory to possess the ball, because we've seen what the 49ers offense has done once they pick up first downs.
Yeah.
They get to rolling. Christian McCaffrey gets involved, the inside outside run, the play action game, Mac Jones with the quick game. Now you have the screen game to use check and the quick passes. So that's the key to the game this week. The key to the game is not just possessing the football, aggressive possession, and then scoring touchdowns when you get in the red zone.
Mm.
For the defense, what they're really going to have to do is they're going to have to do something where they fix the way that they're playing their safeties. Pat, I don't know if you can remember back to the way that me and Deshaun played as safety. We had specific roles, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I was always to the strong side, which means the tight end side. Or if they have a nickel back and a trips, I'm always to that side. Deshaun is to the backside, to the single receiver side, or where the two receivers are. Well, the way the 49ers are playing their safeties right now, they can't really master what they do because the things you do in practice is all predicated on the formation. So if I'm a safety and we're aligning just left and right, it gives a tell that I really haven't practiced these things all week. If they give us a formation and I'm to the front side and I'm supposed to be to the back side. So
Right.
that's what they're doing. They don't have confidence in Malik Mustafa playing man coverage.
Mm.
So what they do is they'll do left and right until it's a man coverage or till Jair Brown is supposed to cover a tight end or a slot receiver, and then they'll interchange them. You cannot show Matthew Stafford that. If I know that, you better damn sure believe that Matthew Stafford knows that. And you better believe he knows the limited coverages that you can play. And if he can get protected, he's going to shred the defense. So they really have to focus on that. Pat, what if you and Navarro went into the game and all week you practiced at the wheel and he was the Mike linebacker, and then we started going left and right? How confused would you be?
Man, very very confused. I know that now that you say that, bring back memories. I remember being out there with Navarro, and what made it so amazing being out there with him was that we could be interchangeable if we needed to be. And there were certain times where I felt like, listen, man, they are motioning to try to get a tail on us. And also, now that you were talking about it, I realized how important it also is for those linebackers to also be keyed in with those DBs, because they can be showing different alignment and linebackers are showing another alignment, because again, the quarterback is reading all of that. And if he see an open gap that's just stationary from the get-go and they're not moving, like you said, a quarterback like him will figure it out, and it could be a long ball game for him. So they most definitely going to have to figure out some ways to disguise a little better. But again, they're a very youthful football team, and at this point, you just want them to get lined up and just be ready to play fast. But against a good quarterback, against a wise quarterback, that can be tough.
You have to have tools in your toolbox.
You all right?
You have to understand the game on an intricate level to where Malik Mustafa, stop turning your shoulders and run into the middle of the field. As soon as you do that to Matthew Stafford, he's throwing the ball to the X or he's throwing it to the back out of the backfield.
Right.
Stop turning your shoulders. He's watching you, right? And you tell Jair Brown, stop getting so nosy down in there when you're the buzz player or the man player. Show cover two, walk into your coverage. You'll have better vision and you'll be able to break better because you have a coming from depth and you can see the quarterback. So those are the things that I will give tips to the safeties this week as far if you want to slow Matthew Stafford down, you're not going to fool him every time, but you just want to steal one play from him that gives you a competitive advantage.
Matthew Stafford in his last 5 games, 16 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He got 4 of those 16 touchdowns a couple of days ago against the Saints, and all 4 of those touchdowns came when the Saints blitzed him. So can't get pressure on Matthew Stafford because of the injuries the Niners have in the traditional way. Blitzing him would be absolutely crazy. And you can't take the ball from him because he doesn't throw interceptions, and it's not like the Niners get a lot of interceptions anyway. They're going to have to win time of possession, probably 3-1 instead of 2-1, like they did when they beat him a few weeks ago.
Absolutely. And when you think about this 49ers defense, I don't know if they match up well with that offense. I just have to call it how it is.
Mm.
When you think about Puka Nacua in the slot, I would take him over Upton Stout. When you think about Tutu Atwell on the outside and how he actually hits the 49ers for big plays every time they play, Tutu Atwell on those deep crossing routes, I would give a slight advantage to Renardo Green, but not that much.
Devontae
And then
Adams.
when I think about Devontae Adams and Deommodore Lenoir, I have to really take the Devontae Adams, especially without a pass rush.
I got to disagree with
Especially
you on
without
that
a pass rush. And listen,
well, okay.
Devontae Adams has mastered his craft in this league.
Yeah.
There's not many wide receivers, even to this day, he's 31, 32 years old.
Oh.
Not many corners that can cover him one-on-one with the way that he stems and changes pace and explodes off the line of scrimmage. I just don't see many that can cover him. So if you don't have an all things neutral, and we're playing 7-on-7, Pat, who are you taking?
Man, I like the hyena. I like the scrappiness in him. I like the fight, but I'm gonna take the wise old man. And I don't mean to say wise old man like that. Like, he's a very crafty and skilled and holds into his craft. And like you say, Donte, he knows what he's looking at. And if you don't get pressure, a pass rush on a quarterback like Stafford, and he's able to hitch a couple of times, man, it could be a very long
You
game.
go get the no-look pass. You go get the Kareem behind the back.
Things like,
Worthy,
hey,
Magic
but
Johnson
I will
pass
say,
break.
hey,
You're going to be out there showing out.
I will say last week we had said about the New York Giants that we was kind of worried about if the 49ers defense could get pressure, or could rattle Dart, and I felt like they done a pretty decent job, and so I don't know,
Pat,
man.
this ain't Dart this week, Pat. Pat, this is a future Hall of Famer that's in the MVP race,
Bad
who
boy.
has championship aspirations with 3 top wide receivers, a tight end, and a running game, versus a young defense, a super young defense that actually, quite frankly, blew a couple coverages last week.
Yeah.
That tight end up the sideline when Deommodore Lenoir missed a tackle, Upton Stout and Jair Brown aren't supposed to blitz at the same time off different ends. You can't do that. Upton Stout blew that coverage. This is still a young defense and a team that's in progress. So I think that it's a lot different this week than it was last week, Pat. Jackson Dart was a one read and go type of guy, right? Not this week. He's going through all 5 and 6 if possible.
And listen, might go from 6 back to 2 or 3.
Back to 1 and then run, loop around, and then throw it to the backside corner like he did the first game to Atwell. So this is a game where the 49ers are going to have to get risky. And I don't mean risky in the sense of, oh, man, we're just going to show them everything. Man, you got to go zero blitz sometimes from a zone alignment like you've been showing all week. Pat, you remember when we were going to those games against Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, even in the Super Bowl, in the NFC Championship with Ryan. We had to give some unorthodox looks and break some of our what do you call it? Yeah, our routine things that we did just to steal a play from those guys. If not, this one could get ugly.
Do they? Last question for me for the Niners: do they add any more pieces? Today being the trade deadline, do they add? They added 2 pieces last week, like you said earlier in the week. Do they add any more pieces, or do they play with what they got?
I'm trying to thinking if they should trade and get Deebo Samuel back in the building.
Really?
I'm trying to see if they should get Javon Kinlaw for a little
Now
bit
I
of,
can see
interior reinforcement.
I can see Javon Killer. I don't know if Debo would come back and
Man, Debo over there, he in hell right now.
I
Trust me.
know, but shit, I don't know
He'll
if he.
come back home openly. Trust me.
I don't know about right now, man. Maybe in a few years or something.
Oh, a few years he done.
Man, can Debo rush the passer? I mean,
No, I think that
that's what they need.
Trey
I'm
Hendrickson,
with
they're
you,
looking for a
Rod.
first round pick. They're looking for a first round pick for Trey Hendrickson. I don't know if you give that up, but how often do the 49ers actually hit on their first round picks?
I wouldn't give.
Is it worth it to have a Trey Hendrickson just for the second half of the season? I wouldn't do it.
No.
I think
What
he got.
about some safety help? They're trying to get rid of Minka Fitzpatrick, a free safety, right? Now you don't have to have Jair Brown and Malik Mustafa being interchangeable and trying to be interchangeable. Now you get a true ball hawking safety that can play free safety because Miami is a fire sale. Minka Fitzpatrick is out there. Do you give up a fifth, sixth, seventh rounder for Minka Fitzpatrick?
I think I would just because of his veteran leadership, his veteran presence. I feel like those guys around him would really they would look up to him in a way that's like it's kind of unspoken. They were unspoken, and so I could see someone like that who knows football, who's been around it for a long time, who could really help those guys like really comfort, because I think they're missing that a little bit, that veteran leadership, that veteran that can help them be poised in time of needs. And so I could see that.
So what about Asante Samuel Jr.? What about some cornerback help? He had an injury problem. He was released. I think that he's okay now, so he's going to take some visits soon. You guys think they should bring in Asante Samuel Jr.? I actually like the way he plays.
I mean, for me though, it's at what cost? I'm not giving anything more than a 4 for really anybody, because clearly what the Niners are doing, they're kind of caught in between. They are good enough to where they can get in the playoffs, and if things break right, they can make a run. But they are still in a sort of a state of flux where they're trying to get younger and cheaper. And the only way you're going to do that is do that through the draft. They went heavy on defense last year in the 25 draft. They got the 26 draft coming up, probably going to go heavy on offense this year, but they don't want to give up the 2026 draft capital because they are in the process of a slight rebuild. 2027 and beyond, I think they'd be willing to give those picks up. But teams don't necessarily want those 2027 and beyond picks. They want those 2026 picks. I just think that if you're the Niners, I'm not giving you any of my 26 picks that are higher than a fourth, because those are just too damn valuable.
When I'm thinking about this 49ers defense and you're talking about building for the future, Pat, when you look at Tatum Bethune and you look at the way that D Winters has played in entirety, who do you think have played better?
Man, Dante, that's a good question. I would
Because Tatum
probably,
Bethune has 16 tackles last week and he has 44 since
yeah,
I believe week 6.
I would say Bethune. Like I feel like he gives you he can play. He's an all around guy too. He can play the mic. He can play the will. He's smart. He can do all of them. Also, I'm not saying D Winters can't, but I know Bethune is their guy when it comes to like, man, we need someone to plug in here, plug in there, and
Well, if D Winters was able to play the mic, they would have moved him over to the mic when Fred Warner went down and put Bethune at the wheel. I say this to say and talk about a hypothetical. If Bethune continues on this trajectory and D Winters stays about where he is as well, and Fred Warner returns to be his normal self, who plays linebacker next year next to Fred Warner?
Damn, you throwing the tough questions out here today, dog.
I would think that it would be Tatum Bethune.
That would be
I
my,
would think it would be Tatum Bethune. Pat, you just said it out of your mouth. He's the most interchangeable. When I watch him on the field, he's the engine right now,
yeah,
right? It's not D Winters. You would think that he would be the alpha dog. Tatum is the alpha dog right now, and he's getting better and better each and every week.
he's
He's
getting
running
better.
sideline to sideline. He's rarely making mistakes.
Yeah,
I would think that Tatum Bethune and Fred Warner would be the duo at linebacker for the 49ers in 2026.
man, he just gave me chills, man. I just gave me chills. And so what? So what would you? So what would you
D
do with?
Winters is the backup. You're a backup. You back on special teams. The way that you analyze players is how you perform on game day, not just one game, not just two games, but the season in its entirety. How much can you take on? What type of effort? Can you stay healthy? What type of impact? How many different things can you do on Sunday? Bethune is showing that. I
Yeah.
mean, D Winters played okay, but Bethune is showing that he's here and he's the rock solid piece that the 49ers have been looking for right now.
So I want to hit both of y'all with this, and obviously your knowledge, Pat, comes to the forefront. It seems to me that D Winters is still young and still trying to figure it out and just trying to get there with speed and aggression and not as much of a cerebral tact that you obviously would get from Fred. And it seems like Tatum Bethune is going in that direction. D Winters is still leading them in missed tackles and in coverage over the last few weeks. I don't want to say he's been getting picked on, but you can see that there has been a drop off. Is he still just young in the game and trying to figure it out, or is that just who D Winters is? And
Or is he missing Fred?
you have to plan accordingly, or is he missing Fred?
That's a good question, Rod. I think it could be a little bit of both. I think that there's no doubt that they're missing Fred and just what he brought, but then there were also those things that we kind of had questions with when it came to D Winters,
Right.
about this season. And he started out strong, but then it almost as if you haven't seen much more than what we saw like early on. And what you would love to have seen is him continue to build a case for like being one of the best wills, in the game. And like you said, right now, he's playing okay. But I feel like he could play better. I know he's dealing with some injuries, which was another thing we was worried about.
Yeah.
Could he sustain a whole season? Because prior he had dealt with some battle with some injuries or whatnot. So I don't know, Dante. That's a great question, but one thing for sure is it's all been evaluated. Um,
Pat, playing linebacker in the NFL, you get a lot of wear and tear. We're mid-season, and you just talked about it. There was a question if D Winters could stay healthy and sustain that physicality. What was your secret to being able to sustain it and staying strong?
Truthfully, man, I think it goes back to the Cowboy. Justin Smith said one time, he said, "Man, if we only played this game when we felt good, we would never play it." And he was actually right. It wasn't a time that you was actually out there that you just absolutely felt 100%. But one thing I always prided myself on was being strong and having endurance. And that comes through grinding during the season just as hard as you would be if you was in the off season. And that's one thing I was proud about our guys, and especially guys on defense, was week in and week out. I knew that we was going to go in the game, and for 4 quarters all the way to the end, we were going to compete and actually turn it up because of what I saw us do during the week. Like, we didn't taper off. We didn't say, let's just maintain. Guys were in there breaking records. When you look over there and you see your DBs, a.k.a. Donte, a.k.a.
565 pounds on the squat rack during the week,
like
right?
that
565 bot squat. I got pictures of it.
yeah. So I would say it just, man, really is continue to just, man, apply pressure and don't like get complacent, don't get comfortable. I don't know what I'm seeing nowadays. I said it last night, man. I just watching them Cowboys, and I don't want to jump off subject, but man, when I was watching them Cowboys, I was like, at times you see little spurts, but then other times it's almost like, man, they it's like college ball, like you would see from a
Like
freshman
junior high.
or a sophomore, like where you just, oh, I'm doing my job. And I'm like, but no, man, that ain't enough just to do your job. Like, do your job like with some ferociousness, and then get rid of it and go find a man. Come on, like
It's almost like they're playing
what's
too
going
cautious.
on? Yes, yeah, something.
And you know when you get in those meeting rooms and the coach say, "Hey, you have here," and you turn the ball back here, you almost try to overdo your position out there, and it's not as natural as it possibly could be. But talking about staying strong and keeping the endurance is a perfect lead-in for the next question that I'm going to ask you guys. Are the 49ers overusing Christian McCaffrey?
No,
And are you worried about burnout?
no, no.
Take
Now
it, Rod. I
you
hear you,
hey,
Rod.
listen. First off, you can't burn that dude out.
He's on pace to have top 10 in touches in NFL history.
You cannot burn that dude out. He wants all the smoke. Okay, He wants all the touches. He wants all the carries. That's why it's impossible to get him off the field. They have to have him out there. All right, he's their
I
best
think what
receiver.
I saw from Brian Robinson, they could take a little bit off of him in the run game.
Yeah, but here's the thing about that though. All right, Brian Robinson comes in. What does that tell you guys as defensive players?
They're
Run.
about to run the
They're
football.
gonna
He's not really a threat as a pass catcher,
right.
so we can play certain coverages.
When Christian McCaffrey is in there, what does that tell you?
Dual threat. Everybody's on alert.
So I'm with you with Brian Robinson. I want to see more Brian Robinson too. But the
But
way
what
you
does it
see,
say this? Hold on, right? What does it say when you put a guy in there that's 230 pounds and just run through somebody's chin strap?
okay, I get all that. But to use Brian Robinson the way he can be used, which is to give him the ball and let him run over people like he did against the Giants, your run game has to be robust. The two
Yeah.
games that Brian Robinson has made an impact with the Niners are the two games where the Niners had a decided advantage in running the ball, and they ran the ball like they had a decided advantage against the Falcons, and then again against the Giants a few days ago. So it's a chicken and the egg thing, but to get what you can get out of Brian Robinson, you got to set it up with Christian McCaffrey and the rest of that offense. Once the defense, they don't know whether it's coming or going, or even if they do know what's coming, the run game, because you put Brian Robinson in there, if they can't stop it because it's being blocked well up front, the wide receivers are doing their job on the outside, George Kittle is doing his normal job in the run game, then it starts to go. I understand that everybody wants to protect McCaffrey because he is so valuable. And I understand that there are a lot of people want that sort of thunder and lightning, running back duo aspect. That's all great, but none of that is going to happen unless you establish running the ball. Then you can put Brian Robinson in there. And the only way you can establish an offensive dominance is when you have Christian McCaffrey out there.
Yeah, there's what do I want to say? There's no guarantee when this game is going to end for us. I know a lot of guys, want to play forever and a day for different reasons. But I was a firm believer going into this season for the 49ers with the team they had, with the leadership, but most importantly with the veteran leadership they had on both sides. I was like, if this team is really to go anywhere, it's going to require those leaders, those guys to really maximize and give everything they got, like every day. Not going into this veteran where you're trying to preserve years, because now y'all are in a stage where you're getting paid a lot of money, but this team is not going to be the same like before you know it when you look up. So you got to make sure that you getting everything you can right now. I can understand if y'all would just sign in if this was year two together or something like that, but and then Christian McCaffrey coming off the injuries he had last year and not playing, I was like, man, listen, they finna give him the rock, and I know people are gonna feel sorry, but dadgummit, like that's what they brought him here for. And at the end of the day, running backs, they're not guaranteed to play, 13 and all these years. So you gotta, man, get what you can get now. And I just feel like I feel like they're doing what they're supposed to do. And like you said, Rob, what makes him unique is that he wants it. I asked him, I said, man, do you ever get tired of running the ball? You ever get tired? He said, no, I want the ball.
Mhm.
He said, no.
When you think about him and everything he's accomplished so far in his career, has his career already been Hall of Fame worthy?
I think it would take a couple of bites at the apple. I mean, look at me speaking about the Hall of Fame when there's a Hall of Famer on the show. I'm gonna shut up and you go first.
Matt, do you think his career is already Hall of Fame worthy? We see the historic season he's about to have with 1,000 rushing yards and 1,000 receiving yards. Has he accomplished enough already to be in the Hall of Fame?
I feel like he has been very consistent enough to be a Hall of Famer. Now I don't know if that's first ballot. I don't know what those entail. But again, the Hall of Fame has always kind of been, one of those things to me. And I just recently got in there, but even then I was kind of going at it like, man, I don't know when it
Man,
was.
Pat, stop.
No,
Pat,
that's the question. No, I swear that's a
that's
question.
that little voice in your head we got to turn off. Pat, stop it.
No, man, I promise you, I always
Since
wondered.
you retired, you was the first ballot, man. We ain't trying to hear that, man.
I always wonder. So I don't know. Them criteria are different, but when you see the guys that they are, the elite group of guys that he's up there with, I mean, it's hard to take that away. But then I always go back to like, daggone Roger Craig, man. Like, I
Should
still
be
try to
in.
figure out, like, yeah, what am I missing? That's what I mean when I say like, what am I missing? Like, is
Bo
it
Jackson.
yeah, like just different things. But they did say that there's a certain amount of numbers that if you can reign at your position for a certain amount of years, where you consider it like top three or top one in there, that for like 5 to 7 years or something like that, that's like a very high consideration of being a Hall of Famer. And so I feel like he's done that in his time, but we shall see.
I would like to get over to the AFC and talk about the stinky Cincinnati Bengals. They have a championship offense
Hmm.
with T. Higgins and Chase and even the quarterback right now, Joe Flacco. I thought he was done in Cleveland. I thought he was too old. His bones was going to turn to dust. He proved me wrong. But have you seen how bad that fucking defense is?
Mm-hmm.
Pat, have you seen it? This
I
might literally, and I'm not even joking or trying to make any headline, but this literally might be the worst defense in NFL history. I mean,
yeah.
they don't do not anything correctly. They don't rush the passer. They don't they don't set the edge. They're not physical. They don't tackle. Like like this team, I've never seen a defense in the last 20 years miss as many tackles as the Cincinnati Bengals miss. And I don't know if they actually even like to play football. When I watch these guys, I don't think they like to play football. Pat,
No.
have you seen how bad this Cincinnati Bengals defense is?
No, but I question a lot when I'm watching football these days. Like, do these guys really want to be out there playing? Like, I don't really see the urgency. Like, I'm like, man, like y'all must not be hungry or starving for greatness or like just in general, like taking care of your family. Because I promise you, when this shit over,
You
you
gonna
gonna
miss it?
wish you could go back and play hard and want to come back and play even harder. But I said to say, Dante, this could be indicative to what happens when you pay all the money on the offensive side of the ball. And because when you look at the Bengals defense, I don't really see one player outside of that defensive end, which kind of reminds me now of the Oakland Raiders. Yeah, you might have a defensive end on one side of the field, but god dang, you don't have nobody else that can thump, nobody else that you look out there and you're like, ooh, we gotta watch out for him. We gotta watch
They
out
thought
for
they
him.
were getting one in Shamar Stewart, the first
So
round defensive end.
I heard he's
He's a
not that.
bust.
Yeah, I
I'm
heard he's
calling it
not.
right now. He's only halfway through his rookie season, and he reminds me of a former teammate in Buffalo of mine, Aaron Maben. Aaron
Really?
Maben came out of the combine 265 pounds, rocked up, strong, tough. Man, we got his ass out there in minicamp. He shriveled up to 215 pounds. That's why we're one of the worst rush defenses in NFL history. And when I'm watching Shamar Stewart, he doesn't do anything well. He's out there, he rushes straight up the field and puts his hand up every time, Pat. Did you see this 4th and 1 on X or one of the Instagram this past weekend?
I didn't see
Fourth
it.
and one, a guard took him literally from the middle of the defense
Hmm.
almost to the sideline, Pat.
Nah,
Pancake. I'm like, oh, this boy can't play. And you wonder why the Cincinnati Bengals have a stinky defense. It's
nah.
because of that.
I'm a firm believer that bad organizations do bad because they are, well, bad. They're just not very well run. And the Bengals are terrible, terrible organization. And Pat, you're 100% right. They put all the money into offense. Joe Burrow's your quarterback. Jamar Chase is, I think, the best receiver in football. They put all that money in that offense and said, we'll figure out the defense as we go. That's the hallmark of a bad
And they got rid of their
organization.
defensive coordinator.
And they got rid of their defense coordinator. And oh, yeah, by the way, Joe Burrow got hurt. Why? Because they don't protect Joe Burrow. Jets
And
are a
you don't
bad
want to
organization.
pay Trey Hendrickson.
Right. Right. Exactly. Right. And they're trying to get a first round pick for him, even though everybody knows that he's not going to be there. The Jets are bad. The Giants are bad. The Cowboys are bad. The Browns are a bad organization. The Saints are a bad organization. These are historically bad organizations that stay as bad organizations because they do unintelligent things. And I think that what the Bengals are defensively, and it's funny to hear you say, Donte, they're the worst defense you've seen. And we just watched the Cowboys last night, who are really bad defense. You know how bad you have to be worse than what the Cowboys are putting out there. They're bad organizations, and bad organizations do dumb stuff. And the Bengals have just done dumb stuff year after year after year. And this one is no different.
Would you throw the Commanders in there as a bad organization?
I give them a little bit of pass because they made that ownership change, getting Daniel Snyder out of there a couple of years ago. Josh Harris is in there. They went to the playoffs last year. Now the problem for the Commanders is that they're just an old team, the oldest team in the league, if I'm remembering correctly. And obviously we send our thoughts and prayers to their quarterback who got hurt in that game on Sunday night. But I don't necessarily lump them in that group yet because they seem to be going out of that terrible trajectory. But the teams I just mentioned, they've been bad for a long time. It doesn't seem like anything's going to change anytime soon.
So let me ask you a question. So is it not a bad decision for Dan Quinn to leave your franchise quarterback in a 40-point blowout and eventually gets his arm broken? At some point, you have to wave the white flag. What are you trying to teach the players in this moment that they don't already know?
That was coaching malpractice. That's what that was. It was
Coaching malpractice,
terrible
man. A
decision.
decision like that should fucking get you fired, man. Do you understand how valuable Jayden Daniels is to that
Absolutely.
organization?
Absolutely.
We're
Yeah.
down 37-7 with 5 minutes or some shit on the clock. What are we trying to prove here?
Yeah, he been. I don't know, man. I think this is his sophomore year. He could be going through that sophomore, aka that sophomore slump. Um, but I don't know if you guys have seen it, and I don't want to sound a conspiracy theorist, or it's not even about conspiracy, but they said that him and RG3 had the same injury, not the same injury, but
On the same place on the field and almost at the same time. Yeah.
almost the same time. They also said the same thing happened with Alex Smith and Joe Namath. And so sometimes, man, you just look above and the football guys be doing things that sometimes just blow your mind. Going back to the teams you guys are talking about that's having these tough times. I was thinking about the Bengals, and I was like, man, like what is it? Like when I see them, what do I keep seeing? When I see the Miami Dolphins, what do I keep seeing? And it kind of goes back to they always say shit runs downhill, so ownership, coaches, players. But then there's somewhere I would say it's like a nucleus, it's a triangle. I don't see us being below each other. Yeah, they pay us money, but it's I feel like we gotta all have a nucleus, a strong suit in the coaching staff and the upstairs as well as the players. And I don't know if I see it with the Bengals like that. I don't know if I see any leadership. Yes, Joe Burrow is a quarterback, but I feel like he was just talent alone. And yeah, he might say something, but then when you see the guys who are getting paid the most money, like your receivers, and you hear the way that they responding to the coaches, like where I come from the South, I catch myself sometimes still saying yes sir or no sir or Mister such and such and all that kind of stuff. But you see the way those guys be responding, like talk to Zach. I don't know Zach, or it just condescending in a way that I'm like, man, bro, this. I don't know if I want to, even if you pay me all the money in the world, I don't know if I want to go and be a part of that. So it makes me appreciate guys like yourself, Donte, guys like Bo, guys like Frank, the guys that you showed up, that I was able to show up to work with every day. And I didn't have to worry about that aspect of the game when I was with the Niners because, man, you guys showed up and we bought out. If anything, we just had to keep each other accountable, like, on and off the field, but that's that's little things. But yeah, I'm just not seeing that, or I haven't saw it with the Bengals. And again, maybe that's indicative to paying all that money to the offensive side and forgetting about the defense, because the defense does have something. The offense can talk all that shit they want, but when they got the defense, they know it's going to back them up. It's going to hold it back. It's like they like the little chihuahuas. The defense come and they like, all right, y'all go ahead and talk your mess. We got you back. So whatnot. And so that's why I'm a firm believer that all teams you need a defense, man.
Yes,
you need
sir.
a few people on your defensive side of the ball that's going to make a difference. So
You have to have competency. Some things that I see out there, just pure fundamentals, they're all being violated. Just like when you seen Deron Bland get sat down on the goal line
Mm,
by Marvin Harrison Jr. Fundamentals. You're guessing. You're
yeah,
supposed to take away the slant first and play the fade. Why the fuck are you playing the fade?
it looked like
Stay inside, make them run the slant, come to you, and if
yeah.
not, you react and play the fade. You deserve to get what you get. Embarrassed on Monday Night Football. Let's move over and stay in the AFC. Josh Allen, phenomenal. The Buffalo Bills put out an incredible win over the Kansas City Chiefs. Is Josh Allen going to win MVP for a second consecutive year?
Mm,
I,
um, not if not if Matthew Stafford stays as hot as he is right now. That's
What do you think,
competition.
Pat?
I think they would. I think so because of now. The reason why I say this is because I'm factoring in Josh Allen being a younger player. He's the younger face of the NFL, and I don't know. When I saw Lamar have the season he had, and he had great numbers, but then Josh Allen still was able to win. Um, again, it made me wonder, like, man, what are the criteria? Is it the best numbers? Is it the guy who's has the team that's doing the most? But then you also factor in like who's the face,
Yep.
and Mahomes has been the face, but they're trying to spread the love, as much as they can. So I would say, based on little edges like that, I would say he probably get it now. The way Stafford is playing, like Rod is saying, like you would say, like, man, give it to the old head. But sometimes, they want the old heads to know, like, we appreciate you, but it's a young man's game.
I
You go.
think
You're
he
gonna have.
does.
You're gonna have to take it from him. Yeah,
Yeah.
Dante. You're
I
gonna have
think
to
he
take it
wins
from
it.
him. Yeah.
You're gonna have to take it from him. Junkyard dog on the football field, throw it, run you over, score touchdowns, make any throw. Their team is on fire. They have high expectations. They're coming off a huge win over the Chiefs, and his impact on that team is almost up there with Lamar Jackson. If you take Josh Allen off of that football team, they're below average football team. And I think that the Buffalo Bills are the favorites in the AFC to make it to the Super Bowl, and not because of Josh Allen. I say it's more so about James Cook.
Mhm.
Right now, the Buffalo Bills have a ratio right now where they're running the ball probably 51%, throwing it 49%. And Cook is coming off a game 2 weeks ago where he had over 200 something yards on almost 20 carries, and he's fluid. And he's almost like Christian McCaffrey, where he can hurt you catching the football out of the backfield. And a lot of times, Josh Allen this year, he's not forcing the football into coverage. He's getting it out quick to Shakir on the edge. He's getting it to James Cook. They're running screens. He's taking care of the football. So I think this is the year where he wins his second consecutive MVP. But this is the year where the Buffalo Bills finally get over the hump and capture the Lombardi.
Okay, but when you say get over the hump, we know what that
It's the
hump
Chiefs.
is. It's the Kansas City Chiefs in
I
the
was just thinking,
playoffs
Rod.
specifically.
They're gonna get it done in the playoffs. And listen, the
Just
Chiefs
thinking,
are on the
Rod.
outside.
So,
Hold up. The Chiefs are on the outside of the playoff picture right now looking in.
Oh,
They
they're
have to
getting in.
get
No,
into the
you're right.
playoffs first.
They're getting in. No, they're getting in.
If they don't get into the playoffs, it'll be a cakewalk. If they do, it'll be a little struggle. It's going to take place in Buffalo Bills Stadium. It's going to be cold as hell. But I have the Buffalo Bills guys this year winning the Super Bowl,
who
100%.
who'd you just say? Who'd you say might not get in?
The Kansas City Chiefs?
Oh, I thought you said the Eagles for some reason. I was
Oh,
like,
the Eagles, they going to get in for sure. They number
Yeah,
one in the NFC. They going to
yeah.
get in.
yeah, I just saw them trade for
Jalen
Jaden
Phillips
Phillips.
out of Miami. Yeah, from
Yeah,
Miami.
that's a big pickup.
I keep refreshing here, looking to see if the Niners are making a move to bolster that defense.
They haven't. They think they have enough. I don't
Uh,
think so. I don't think that they have enough. With Keon White last week, I wasn't really impressed with his play. I didn't really see him flash. I know the numbers said he had a high pressure rate, but I didn't see him flash. I'm looking forward to Huff returning.
mhm.
If they can get Huff return and stay healthy, with Okawanu, the way that he rushed the quarterback last week, with Colin Farrell, they'll give themselves a chance. But in my gut, it's saying that when you have to play teams, maybe the Lions, the Green Bay Packers, the Philadelphia Eagles, Is your defensive line strong enough to get consistent pressure on these quarterbacks that are great capturing the moment? I don't think they have enough at the moment.
It's just that their hesitancy to get a rental and to give up draft picks in 2026, that's just working against the Niners. And as I mentioned earlier, I get it. I understand it because I see what they're trying to do. They don't want an expensive rental for half a year. They want someone that they can control in 2026 or possibly beyond. And with them being in the midst of trying to get younger and cheaper, and you do that through the draft, they don't want to give up expensive or high 2026 draft capital. I get it. I understand it. I think not necessarily their hands are tied, but I can see why they're behind, the Niners collective backs. They just don't want to. They just don't want to do it. I understand it.
This also could be, it could be something that we think about in the sense of them paying that money to the offensive side of the ball as well. They have a lot of money on the offensive side that they were also banking on. If those guys are healthy, you get IU, Chris Hall, Purdy, even though Mac Jones is, playing elite, maybe if they can run that high caliber offense, like you say, Rod, maybe they can do just enough to to balance it out. But Donte, I like what you're saying. When I think about it, do they have enough to play a physical run team that's going to run the ball physically at them and then also make them have to get to the quarterback? Like, do they have it? I think they can do it, but I don't know.
And that leads into the Grit Code quote of the week, which is based around construction. The 49ers are in the playoff picture. They're 6-3. They're not expected to win, but they keep proving people wrong while remaining in the construction phase. And every phase of greatness looks like construction before it looks like glory. Greatness is never clean. It's built in the dirt, the noise, and the chaos. But that's where your foundation is poor. And for everybody out there listening, our Grit Code challenge of the week is build through the mess. Pick one area of your life that feels chaotic, your fitness, finances, or focus, and stick to the plan for 7 straight days. No shortcuts, no excuses. Build through the mess and tag us on Instagram and X, Spotify, listen and follow, Apple, listen and follow. And from myself, Rod Brooks and Patrick Willis, this is more than a podcast. It's a mindset. Live it, build it, wear it. Till next week, from the Grit Code.